So the idea that the woman shouldn't be on the football pitch but should be somewhere in the kitchen or whatever, that kind of comment. And the friend sitting next to him on the sofa then says, mate, to tell him off. And the mayor is hoping that the campaign will encourage men to call out bad behaviour from their friends by challenging them when there is a sexist attitude or language on display. Some, though, say the ad is patronising. Some say it's naive. It's been described as a wasted opportunity to set out clear, actionable guidance for men on how to challenge everyday sexism and misogyny. What do you think? I'd love your thoughts on this. It goes into territory we've not really seen in adverts before. Is it a brilliant idea that encourages men to take some responsibility and call out their friends? Or is it a cringy waste of money that undermines how serious misogynistic language and abuse can be? Do let us know. Do text us, 88291. Email vine@bbc.co.uk, and please enclose your phone number so we can get you back and get you on the air. Or you can call us on WhatsApp, 08000 288 291. Let's talk to Simon Harris. Blog of Simon's is called Man Behaving Dadly. Joan Smith is a journalist, human rights activist, and author of a book, Misogynies. Simon, you go first. What was your thought hearing it, watching it?
I mean, my thoughts about it, when I first saw it pop up on social media, there was quite a lot of anger about it from a fair number of people. And again, one thing you have to bear in mind sometimes is anything that comes out of Sadiq Khan's mouth, it's almost guaranteed to get a very critical reception. This is obviously his background, and I think the ULEZ issue is making a lot of people prejudge everything he says at the moment, and other factors as well. But I mean, just going back to the merits of the campaign itself, I think a lot of people may have misinterpreted slightly in terms of the gimmick and people saying it's a bit of a gimmicky thing to do. I think it's merely getting people to have that conversation. He's not saying that every single person who spots this behaviour should say, mate, with however many A's you want to shove in the middle. It's more just to have that conversation, to say, look, mate, that's crap, stop it. Sorry, I said crap. Just stop, just stop. It's not telling people to physically start acting this great big scene and going, mate. It's just literally get people to have that conversation however they want to have it.
But essentially it's about not tolerating low-level sexism, I guess, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, again, it's the fact that I think some people have said that it's a missed opportunity to educate people. The issue is that we all know what this unacceptable behaviour is, as in if it was just to print a list of do's and don'ts, things like that, it just wouldn't really hit people. I think in this case, he knows full well that we all know what unacceptable behaviour is in this area. It's just about obviously getting over the blokiness and actually having the courage to come forward and say, look, just stop. That's too far. And of course, people in their own groups of friends will know the way to do it that's going to land the best, as opposed to just going, mate.
Joan Smith, you're not convinced by it.
I'm not, and that's exactly what it is saying. One of the deputy mayors tweeted at the weekend and said, all you need to do is say this word, however you pronounce it, whether it sound like a sheep or a cow, mooing or buying. But she did actually say, all you need to do to step in and stop this is to say a word. And the point is that, this kind of sexist behaviour doesn't exist in isolation. It's not something that someone will say and the rest of their attitudes are, impeccable and as we would like them to be. And particularly if it's something like, in a public setting, say a bar, where a bloke is making, unpleasant comments about a woman and the woman is upset. What you actually have to look at is where he's got to be making those kind of comments. So it is part of it. It is starting a conversation, but that's not what the campaign is saying. It's very, very simplistic, as though you can just step in and everybody knows what's wrong, because the problem here is boundaries, and young men who behave like that are showing that they don't have the right kind of boundaries, that they talk about women in a disrespectful way, and that raises other questions about their behaviour. So simply saying one word is not going to deal with all of that.
Simon?
Again, I wasn't aware of what the deputy mayor actually said. I mean, I was just talking about how I've interpreted seeing it on social media in general. I think when you listen to what Ramesh Ranganathan did when he incorporated it as part of his stand-up routine as well, I still get the impression that, just going mate and having a laugh might not achieve the desired effect that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. But I just believe it's starting that conversation and trying to encourage men to actually have the, to actually just stand up and say, look, that's not acceptable, just stop. I know occasionally whoever does call out is just going to get, ridiculed and the sort of classic Richard Keys-esque. It's just banter. But again, we need to be having that conversation as opposed to not having it because we're too scared to think about the consequence of what could happen.
I suppose the point about the interactions that I've seen in these adverts, Joan, is that they might be described as low level. So someone saying, "Have you?" These are quotes from the ad campaign. "Have you seen the new girl? I'd like to give her one." Well, I don't know. I don't know how I would grade that, to be honest. She's asking for it in that skirt, and these are blokes talking to blokes, and they're all in their late teens, early 20s. And maybe the advert is saying, "Stop it at the early stage before this person acts out."
But by then it's not at an early stage because they already have the attitudes and they've had them for some years and they haven't understood that those things are not okay. I mean, this is something that should be dealt with in schools. We know that girls in their early teens, 14, 15, are reporting that they experience domestic abuse. They experience things like demands for, sexually explicit pictures from boys, because boys watch porn now so much, they're expecting to do things like choking and things like that. Girls are dealing with all of that, and all of that has to be addressed in schools. So boys should not be leaving school believing these things and not having the right boundaries. And the fact that they might be behaving like this in their early 20s suggests a massive and much earlier failure. And I don't think it's dealt with by a single word.
Thank you very much, both of you. Joan Smith, journalist, human rights activist, author of a book called Misogynies. Simon Harris has a blog called Man Behaving Dadly.